Nobody saw it coming. One sexy lingerie photo shoot, and the entire internet exploded, convinced Rihanna had finally left A$AP Rocky. But while everyone was screaming breakup, the real story behind the scenes was way messier and way more shocking than the headlines wanted you to believe. What really happened? Keep watching. Nobody saw it coming. One bold photo shoot, one scroll-stopping post, and suddenly the entire internet was convinced Rihanna had finally left A$AP Rocky. But what really went down behind the scenes? Way messier, way deeper, and way more intense than the headlines made it seem. It all started with a single upload. Rihanna dropped a series of jaw-dropping, ultra-sexy lingerie photos that instantly broke the internet. Feeds froze, likes exploded. People were calling it her most daring shoot yet. Some cheered, others said she went too far. But while the world was busy double-tapping and losing their minds, everyone was secretly watching one person: A$AP Rocky. At first, silent, no likes, no comments, no reaction. And that silence, it was deafening. Within hours, the rumors went nuclear. Rocky is furious. He lost it behind closed doors. He's done. Words like angry, disrespected, and controlling started trending hard. Then came the killer headline that changed everything. Rihanna had enough. Old cheating rumors got dragged back up. Old interviews were dissected. Random moments from years ago suddenly looked suspicious. Fans started picking sides like it was a boxing match. Was Rocky trying to control her? Did he feel emasculated? Or had Rihanna finally decided she wasn't shrinking herself for any man, not even the father of her kids? But just when it looked like their relationship was crashing and burning, new details started leaking that completely flipped the script. What Rocky allegedly said in private and what he showed publicly might shock you. So now the real question is just, did Rihanna leave? It's why did this story explode so violently, and what's actually going on? Because if you think this is just about lingerie photos, you're missing the entire point. And what happens next could completely change how you see both of them forever. Let's go back. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's love story was never your typical celebrity fling. It was years in the making. They first crossed paths in the early 2010s, music, fashion, same circles. The chemistry was obvious, but the timing was never right. Rihanna was in the middle of high-profile romances, while Rocky was living wild, openly saying he didn't believe in traditional relationships. He even joked about having multiple partners. That was his brand, that was his vibe. But then 2020 happened. The world shut down, and somehow, in the quiet, these two finally connected on a deeper level. What started as a long friendship turned into something real. By 2021, Rocky, the same guy who once ran from commitment, was calling Rihanna the love of his life in public. For him, that was huge. Then came motherhood. In 2022, Rihanna gave birth to their first child. A year later, their second. From the outside, they looked solid, a power couple building a family while balancing fame, business, and music. But here's the thing about celebrity relationships. The internet is always hunting for cracks, and with these two, the rumors never really stopped. Cheating allegations in 2022, random accusations, zero proof. Yet every time the stories spread like wildfire, got denied, then quietly lived on in people's minds, waiting for a moment exactly like this. Now here's what most people are missing. Those controversial lingerie photos aren't just Rihanna being bold, they're business. Savage X Fenty isn't a hobby, it's a billion-dollar empire. Every campaign, every photo shoot, every provocative post is strategic. Rihanna built her brand on confidence, sensuality, and unapologetic self-expression. She's never been the type to dim her light for anyone. So when the photos dropped, two worlds collided. The Rihanna, who is a fearless mogul protecting her business, and the Rocky, who's now a father and partner, who publicly changed his entire view on love for her. The internet didn't see a business move. They saw a relationship test. And that's exactly why things spiraled so fast. Even innocent moments from the past were suddenly being viewed with suspicion. Everything got twisted. The conversation wasn't about, do the photos look good, anymore. It became, how does Rocky feel about this? And that one question was all it took to set the internet on fire. Once people start publicly questioning a relationship, it doesn't stay a question for long. It turns into a full-blown storyline. And this one escalated faster than anyone could control. But here's where the plot twist begins. While the internet was busy writing their dramatic breakup script, sharp-eyed fans started noticing small cracks in the story. Subtle details, tiny reactions, little things that didn't match the chaos everyone was pushing. If you were really paying attention, you could feel it. This entire drama might not be what it seemed. Because the biggest stories online aren't always built on truth. They're built on what people want to believe. Then everything detonated. What started as quiet whisper suddenly turned into insider reports. Viral posts claimed A$AP Rocky didn't just feel uncomfortable with Rihanna's lingerie shoot. He had completely lost control. According to the rumors, he confronted her behind closed doors, raised voices, tension, accusations of disrespect. Some even said he thought it wasn't appropriate for a mother. Words like controlling, too far, and toxic started trending. The internet ate it up. The problem? None of it was confirmed. No receipts, no statements, no verified sources, just anonymous posts, blurry screenshots, and a chain reaction of reposts. But by then, it didn't matter. The story felt juicy enough to believe. Suddenly, those empowering photos weren't seen as bold anymore. They were controversial. Fans started dissecting every image, not for the fashion, but for what it supposedly meant for her relationship. Old clips of Rocky resurfaced, the ones where he used to talk about not believing in traditional relationships and wanting freedom. People flipped them instantly. So he can talk like that, but Rihanna can't post sexy photos. The double standard debate exploded. On the other side, another group fired back. This isn't about control, it's about respect. Things change when you have kids. Overnight, the internet split in two loud, passionate sides, and right in the middle, silence. Rihanna and Rocky said nothing. No denial, no clarification, no posts. And that silence poured gasoline on the fire. Because when celebrities go quiet, people assume the worst. Then came the knockout punch. One single post went mega-viral claiming Rihanna had officially walked away. No proof, no details, just a bold headline, she's done. Millions of views in hours. Blogs ran with it. Reaction channels went crazy. Now it wasn't just tension, it was a full breakup. People started overanalyzing everything. Her captions, her tone, the fact she hadn't posted him recently. Every tiny detail became evidence. But just when the breakup narrative seemed locked in, contradictions started popping up everywhere. Some sources said she was unbothered. Others said she was furious. A few admitted the whole thing was being blown out of proportion. The story was falling apart, messy, inconsistent, and full of holes. And then the real twist hit. While everyone was saying Rocky lost it, there was zero public evidence. No angry interviews, no shady posts, no visible frustration. The more people looked for proof, the less they found. That raised a very uncomfortable question. If this really happened, where's the proof? By the time Rocky's actual response started circulating, calm, supportive, basically saying it's her body, her choice, the internet had already made up its mind. The drama was too loud. The calm truth was too quiet. And that's what makes this situation so dangerous for any celebrity couple. Once a juicy narrative takes off, facts can't always catch up. People share outrage faster than they share corrections. Even as pieces of the real story started surfacing, the loud version kept winning. Rocky went crazy, Rihanna left, it's over. But behind all the noise, something still didn't add up. If this was truly their breaking point, why did everything look completely normal just hours earlier? No warning signs, no tension, no distance. When a story doesn't make sense, it usually means one thing. There's a bigger truth the internet missed. And what comes next, it doesn't just challenge the rumors. It completely flips the entire script. They started digging deeper, and things got uncomfortable fast. Where did these explosive claims even come from? No major outlet had confirmed anything. No direct quotes from Rocky. No verified insiders. Just recycled captions, dramatic headlines, and blurry screenshots bouncing around social media until they started sounding like facts. Then someone traced the original post. What they found flipped the entire narrative upside down. The Rocky went crazy, and Rihanna left him. Story didn't come from a leaked text, a close friend, or a reputable source. It started on a satirical account known for posting exaggerated, misleading, and sometimes completely fabricated celebrity drama for clicks and laughs. By the time people realized it was satire, the damage was already done. Millions had seen the claim, shared it, argued about it, and formed strong opinions. The fake story had gone mega viral while the truth sat quietly in the corner. And here's the part that really stings. That same account had actually posted Rocky's real reaction earlier, but nobody cared. Why? Because the real reaction wasn't dramatic, it wasn't explosive, it didn't spark outrage or juicy debates. It was calm, supportive, almost too normal to go viral. While the fake chaos spread like wildfire, the truth barely got any traction. This moment stopped being just about Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. It became a masterclass in how modern narratives get manufactured in real tea. Think about it. In just a few hours, the internet took something Rihanna has done dozens of times, a bold, savage ex-Fenty campaign, and turned it into a full-blown relationship crisis. People weren't reacting to reality. They were reacting to the most entertaining version of the story. Once that version took hold, everything else got ignored. Actual facts, they didn't hit the same. Calm responses, they didn't spread. Because by then, most people weren't looking for truth anymore. They were looking for confirmation of the drama they already wanted to believe. And if you zoom out, this isn't new for them. Back in 2022, similar cheating rumors exploded out of nowhere. Names were dropped, timelines were invented, and timelines filled with outrage. Within a day, the claims were debunked, completely false. Yet the story never fully died. It lingered in the background like digital smoke, ready to reignite the next time anything looked even slightly suspicious. The cycle repeated again and again. Shock, viral spread, denial, silence. But this time felt different. This rumor wasn't just about cheating. It was about control, about respect, about whether Rocky could handle Rihanna being the unapologetic, sensual powerhouse she's always been. Let's be real, nothing about these lingerie photos was shocking or new. Rihanna has been modeling for Savage X Fenty for years. It's not a side project. It's a billion-dollar empire she built from the ground up. Every campaign is calculated, strategic, and timed to dominate conversations. She's not just posting sexy pictures. She's running a business that celebrates confidence, body positivity, and breaking boundaries. Ironically, the manufactured controversy only made the campaign bigger. While people argued about her relationship, they were also sharing the photos, tagging friends, and boosting engagement like crazy. What started as a marketing move turned into a cultural moment that reached way beyond fashion fans. So now the real question hits harder. Was this ever truly a relationship problem? Or was it a perfect storm of internet addiction to drama, old rumors, and the eternal hunger for celebrity conflict? When you look at Rocky's actual behavior, the contrast is striking. Instead of anger, there was support. Instead of jealousy, there was understanding. He didn't try to control the narrative. He didn't clap back aggressively. He didn't feed the beast. That silence everyone first read as guilt. It started looking more like quiet confidence, like he understood something the internet never will. Then came the moment that shattered the entire storyline. When Rocky finally addressed the situation in an interview, his response was simple, direct, and completely at odds with the viral chaos. Her body, her choice. That's not for me to control. No long speech, no defensiveness, just mature, respectful clarity. In that instant, the Rocky went crazy narrative collapsed. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Even after his clear, supportive words surfaced, the rumors didn't die. By that point, the story had taken on a life of its own. Some people ignored the new information completely. Others questioned if his response was scripted. A few even doubled down, insisting something was still being hidden. That's when it became crystal clear. This was never really about the photos. It was about perception. The internet had already crafted its preferred version of Rihanna and Rocky's relationship, one filled with tension, control issues, and inevitable collapse. When real life didn't match that script, reality didn't matter. The narrative was simply more entertaining than the truth. And that's the most shocking reveal of all. Not that Rihanna left, not that Rocky lost control, but that none of it needed to be true for millions of people to believe it, argue about it, and pick sides anyway. In today's world, the story that spreads fastest isn't the most accurate one. It's the one that feels the most dramatic. By the time the truth started catching up, the conversation had already evolved into something much bigger than gossip. It turned into a full-blown cultural debate. At first, reactions followed the usual pattern: shock, outrage, and snap judgments. Social media was flooded with hot takes. The loudest voices pushed the breakup narrative hardest, claiming Rihanna had finally drawn the line and walked away from a controlling partner. Others painted Rocky as insecure, saying he couldn't handle the very image Rihanna built her empire on. Then the pushback came strong. A huge wave of fans defended her fiercely. They reminded everyone that Rihanna has always been unapologetic about her sexuality, her brand, and her choices. The idea that she would suddenly shrink herself because she's in a relationship and has kids didn't make sense to them. This wasn't controversy, it was consistency. What made the situation even more intense was how quickly the discussion shifted from had happened to what it all means. Suddenly, people weren't just talking about one celebrity couple. They were debating bigger questions. Should things fundamentally change once you have a family? Does being in a committed relationship automatically come with limitations on self-expression? Where's the line between personal freedom and mutual respect in the public eye? The conversation split into passionate camps. One side argued that parenthood and partnership naturally bring new boundaries, that certain choices might affect the family dynamic. The other side fired back that true partnership means supporting your partner's career and autonomy, especially when that career is built on empowerment and confidence. Rihanna herself has never been one to dim her light. She's a global icon, a mother, a billionaire businesswoman, and a creative force who has always refused to apologize for owning her sensuality. Rocky, on the other hand, has publicly evolved, moving from a free-spirited, non-traditional mindset in his early career to becoming a devoted partner and father. Their silence during the initial storm, it only fueled the fire at first, but as more details emerged, Rocky's calm support, the satirical origins of the rumor, the strategic nature of the campaign, it started looking less like avoidance and more like maturity. They refused to play the internet's game. In the end, this whole episode exposed something deeper than any single photo shoot or rumor. It showed how quickly perception can override reality in the age of instant sharing, how drama spreads faster than facts, and how even supportive, stable relationships can be twisted into conflict if it makes better content. Rihanna and Rocky's story isn't perfect. No relationship is under this level of scrutiny. But the way this particular storm played out reveals more about us, the audience, than it does about them. We crave the breakup. We crave the fight. We crave the moment the powerful woman finally leaves. Because those stories feel bigger, more satisfying, more shareable. The quiet truth, two people who respect each other's careers, support each other's growth, and choose not to perform their relationship for the timeline, that's harder to turn into clicks. And maybe that's the real lesson here. As the dust settles, one thing becomes clear. Rihanna isn't shrinking for anyone. Rocky isn't trying to control her. And the internet, it will keep chasing the next dramatic headline. But for anyone paying close attention, the real story was never about a breakup. It was about how easily we can all get swept up in a narrative that feels right, even when it's wrong. Is public expression really different when millions of eyes are watching your every move? One lingerie photo shoot, and just like that, a single bold campaign exploded into a much larger conversation about modern relationships, boundaries, and what it means to be yourself in the spotlight. Meanwhile, the entertainment blogs and media outlets did exactly what they do best. They poured gasoline on the fire. Clickbait headlines screamed Rocky furious and Rihanna done on repeat, even when there was zero solid evidence to back them up. The more emotional and dramatic the headline, the faster it spread across timelines. Engagement skyrocketed, shares multiplied. But here's where it got messy. As more accurate information slowly surfaced, including Rocky's actual calm and supportive response, those corrections barely moved the needle. In the world of viral content, perception doesn't just move faster than truth, it often completely outruns it. By the time some outlets started quietly clarifying that there was no confirmed breakup or explosive fight, millions had already internalized the dramatic version. The damage was done. The most fascinating reactions, however, didn't come from random commenters. They came from inside the industry. Fashion insiders looked at the situation and saw something completely different. To them, Rihanna's photos weren't controversial, they were brilliant strategy. They recognized a masterclass in brand domination, drop jaw-dropping visuals right before a major season, spark massive conversation, and plant Savage x Fenty at the absolute center of culture. From a business perspective, it wasn't a misstep, it was calculated genius. Some even pointed out the beautiful irony. The backlash itself became part of the success. Every heated debate, every angry repost, every "this is too much" comment only amplified visibility. Love the photos or hate them, people couldn't stop talking about them. And in today's crowded market, raw attention is the most valuable currency. On the music side, the reactions were more subdued but deeply telling. Artists and insiders who have survived public relationships themselves didn't rush to judgment. There was a noticeable pause, almost a quiet recognition of how dangerously fast these narratives can spiral out of control. For those who have lived it, this wasn't shocking. It was painfully familiar. Then something interesting started happening among the fans. As more clips and quotes from Rocky began circulating, especially his calm, mature stance, the tone of the conversation slowly started to shift. Not everywhere at once, but enough to create visible cracks in the original breakup narrative. People began asking uncomfortable questions. Why did we believe the rumors so quickly? How did a satirical post gain so much traction without verification? Still, the damage lingered. In viral culture, first impressions are sticky. For many, the image of conflict had already been burned into their minds. Even when challenged with facts, it didn't fully disappear. Some continued insisting there must be more happening behind closed doors. Others treated the whole situation like an unsolved mystery. This reaction phase revealed something powerful about our times. A single rumor can evolve into multiple competing versions of truth, each shaped by whoever is telling the story. Some saw female empowerment. Others saw disrespect to family values. Some viewed pure business strategy, while others clung to imagined relationship tension that may never have existed. Through all the noise, one thing stayed consistent. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky refused to feed the chaos. No dramatic statements, no public arguments, no desperate attempts to control the narrative. While the world picked apart their relationship, they stayed largely silent, letting the storm rage on its own. And that silence, it became part of the story. Because now people were asking a sharper question. If things were truly falling apart behind the scenes, wouldn't we see clearer signs? Wouldn't there be visible distance, cryptic posts, or emotional cracks? Slowly, the focus began shifting back toward reality. The lack of real conflict, the absence of hard evidence, the consistent public unity they've shown time and time again, all of it pointed in one direction. But by then, the episode had already exposed something much bigger than celebrity gossip. It laid bare how quickly public opinion can form, and how stubbornly difficult it is to reverse once it hardens. Just when it looked like the story was finally settling down, another layer started to emerge that didn't quite add up. If this was truly just another fake narrative that got out of hand, if there was never any real breakup or explosive fight, then why did this particular moment feel so different from all the previous rumors they've survived? They've faced cheating allegations, outside interference, even real-life danger together, and every single time they came out stronger, more united, with no hesitation. But this time, the silence lasted longer. The initial response felt more measured. For a couple usually very clear in how they support each other publicly, that delay stood out. At first, everyone was too busy chasing headlines to notice. But once the noise quieted even a little, that silence became impossible to ignore. In a world where every moment is documented and shared in real time, silence isn't empty. It carries weight. It means something. And that's where the final, uncomfortable twist begins to take shape. While the internet was busy arguing whether Rocky had lost it, a different question started creeping in. What if this wasn't about losing control at all, but about control in a completely different way? Think about the timing. Rihanna drops one of her boldest campaigns while the world is already watching closely. Within hours, the conversation explodes, not just about the photos, but about her relationship, her choices, her identity as a mother, a mogul, and a woman who refuses to shrink. Engagement goes nuclear. The brand dominates headlines for days. Then nothing immediate, no dramatic denial, no emotional clapback, no rush to shut it down. Just enough space for the story to grow, breathe, and multiply. Now here's where it gets really interesting and a bit uncomfortable. When you step back and look at it from another angle, the entire situation starts to look less like a random controversy that spiraled out of control, and more like something that was strategically allowed to play out. Not necessarily manufactured from the start, but definitely not killed early on. Because if anyone understands the game of attention better than almost anyone in the industry, it's Rihanna. She knows exactly how fast narratives spread. She knows controversy, even false controversy, can turn a campaign into a cultural moment. Every headline, every debate, every viral argument, positive or negative, kept her and Savage X Fenty exactly where they needed to be, at the absolute center of the conversation. And then there's Rocky. While the internet expected anger, jealousy, or some kind of possessive reaction to confirm the drama, he did the exact opposite. Calm, controlled, supportive, almost detached from the chaos in the most mob. cheer way possible. That kind of response doesn't usually happen by accident, especially when the entire internet is trying to drag you into a toxic narrative. So now you have two people at the heart of one of the week's biggest viral storms, and neither is behaving the way the story says they should. No breakdown, no public confrontation, no visible cracks, just quiet, deliberate control. And that's what makes this whole situation still feel unfinished. If this was purely a fake rumor that got out of hand, it should have died the moment the truth started coming out. But it didn't. It lingered. It mutated. It kept people questioning whether something deeper was hidden beneath the surface. Maybe that's the real twist here. Not that Rihanna walked away. Not that Rocky went crazy behind closed doors. But that the entire episode revealed just how powerful perception is, and how easily it can be shaped, redirected, or even quietly leveraged for maximum impact. In the end, people didn't just react to what actually happened. They reacted to what they thought was happening. And that gap between reality and perception, it changes everything. Even now, after clearer details have emerged, some people remain convinced something dramatic happened behind closed doors that we're not seeing. Maybe that's just the nature of celebrity culture in 2026. Or maybe it's a sign that this story still isn't fully over. Moments like this don't vanish quietly. They leave traces. They plant questions that come back when you least expect them. So now the ball is in your court. Was this really just another viral misunderstanding that spiraled wildly out of control? Or was it the beginning of something more calculated, something that hasn't fully revealed itself yet? Because if history has taught us anything about stories like this, it's that the final chapter often drops right when everyone thinks the drama is already over. And if that's true here, then what happens next might be the part nobody saw coming. Now it's your turn. Drop your honest take in the comments right now. Do you think there was real tension behind the scenes? Or was this another classic case of the internet turning a single moment into something it was never meant to be? Don't just scroll past. Your perspective matters. The way these stories spread depends on what people choose to believe and share. If you think the truth got buried under the noise, say it. If you believe there's still more to uncover, call it out. And if you made it all the way to the end of this breakdown, you already know this situation had way more layers than most people realized, from the strategic photos, to the satirical rumor, to the cultural debate, and finally the twist that flipped the script. This wasn't just drama. It was a real-time masterclass in how fast things can spiral when the spotlight hits. Hit that like button if you want more deep dives like this, because wild stories are dropping every single day that most people aren't seeing clearly, and we're going to keep breaking them down. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Because if you thought this one was wild, the next situation might be even crazier. And before you go, ask yourself one last question. If something this massive can be built out of almost nothing, how many other stories are we believing right now that aren't actually real? Stay locked in. The next upload might just change everything you thought you knew.